Well, howdy there, folks. James, politicalfriar.com, coming at you again. I got a new hat that I haven't worn before because I'm going to do a different topic than the types I've done before. See, I usually cover history, law, and politics, but today I'm going to do a video that I'm going to call a Big Think. Every once in a while, I'm just struck with an idea about how humanity works and how politics will categorize itself into different ideas. And I had a big thought the other day when I was watching coverage of some of the campus protests of the Palestine and Israeli war. And on both sides, I noticed that there was something in common. First, that both sides that got themselves up to go protest are pretty extreme in their rhetoric. They're pretty interested in advocating for some pretty gross stuff. For example, the talk that Palestine should be from the river to the sea is explicitly genocidal, as is the talk that the Israeli homeland is Judea and Samaria, because that includes where Palestinians are currently living. That's explicitly genocidal too. How is it that these two sides can be effectively advocating for the same thing, obviously their side winning, but by committing genocide, when they are so obviously contrary to each other's position? It is an agreement in the means. It's a tactical agreement. And it struck me, this is the big thought. This is the difference between extremists and moderates. Extremists are willing to employ extreme means to achieve their ends, where moderates are unwilling to apply extreme means to achieve their ends. Think about the visuals from January 6th. You have Donald Trump supporters naturally dividing themselves into extremists and moderates that day. The extremists were willing to use any means necessary to achieve their goal of reinstating Donald Trump as president, and the moderates weren't. The moderates had an extreme idea that they wanted to have implemented. They wanted the Constitution of the United States to be overturned, but they weren't willing to use violence to do it. And in that, you have within that faction with an extreme goal a distinction between the extremists and the moderates. It's all about the means that you're willing to use. And so if you want to identify an extremist, right, left, center, it's the means that they're willing to use that will make them identifiable. And if you want to identify a moderate, it's the means that they're unwilling to use. And that is the way to distinguish within even relatively obscure political movements who are the true believers and who are the, well, for lack of a better word, co-travelers. Because even if the goal is extreme, if you're not willing to use extreme means, I don't think you're an extremist. I think you are at least relatively a moderate. And if you are willing to use extreme means, even in the accomplishing of maybe a moderate goal, then you are an extremist. And that's the interesting thing, because as so many of my Republican friends have pointed out to me, Donald Trump's actual policies aren't that extreme. They're within the main line of the Republican Party. He didn't do anything that was super nuts. But his rhetoric and his tactics and his willingness to overturn institutions makes his supporters and him, by association, on the extreme wing of the political unit that we call the United States. It's not that he's calling for things that are altogether all that offensive. It's that he's willing to achieve his goals through any means necessary. And when you detect that among Antifa or among the Proud Boys, you don't need really to know what they're proposing as far as a policy position. You can just say, no, that's an extremist that is in needing to be either condemned or at least be careful around, because they're willing to use those means. Anyway, it's literally just a big thought. Let me know what you think on the comments down below. Leave me a like, subscribe. Let me know if you want me to do more of these. I don't know about this format. It's kind of hard to explain. It's almost philosophy in 5 minutes, but I'm willing to try if you are. All right. I appreciate you.